Hey, it's Brooke. Welcome to Inside Renovation. Click that subscribe button if you haven't yet. We'd love for you not to miss any episodes that we drop. In today's episode, Pastor Cody and I, we are continuing our red flag series. And singles, maybe you're dating as well, this one's for you. All right, PK. We're on the red flag.
Let's go.
We're going to continue with the red flags today here on the podcast.
Let's do it.
And I feel like we've been very kind of, cognizant about like the people we're talking about. Sure. And it's just very open-ended, kind of like relationships, friendships, things like that. Yeah. And then, I just feel like we need to go there in this episode and talk to our single people.
Let's go. Single, ready to mingle people? Single with no mingle people, or both?
I feel like a little bit of both.
All right, bet.
I feel like we're kind of just going single. Yeah. Single people, I feel like, can either be in that zone, like you said, where they're just like, they're ready to go for it. They're looking for their husband, their wife.
Sure.
Other people are like,
I'm good.
Stay away. But I also feel like when you're in that stay away mode, because that's how I was when I met my husband.
Yeah.
That's when you're most open to being in the right spots.
And then there's still like a group of people who like, that's what they're called to.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, I really am. I'm content. I'm single and secure.
Yeah.
Like I'm good. I don't need nobody. I don't ever want nobody again. And it's like, and those aren't bad or good. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they're different places. Yeah. So let's go there.
Red
flags and the singles.
Red flags and single people. Do you want to start with one or do you want me to start with one?
You got them. I'm going to let you roll.
Okay. Can't stop bashing their ex.
Oh, for sure. Red flag.
I feel like that's such a red flag.
That's true.
Because I feel like when you're in that singleness and your ex's name, something about your ex is coming out of your mouth, you're not really over it all the time.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
You're not.
And I feel like that's just from a female perspective. I'm curious as to know what you think.
No. I think that to me, anytime anybody bashes people, I automatically
that's so true.
Especially relationships, because it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
Come on, let's not. Now I get there might be one that's like maybe more of the antagonist of the relationship for sure. And I know people can, treat people like crap, and I'm not trying to say, well, what about abuse? And what about this? And what about that? No. I'm just saying, you gotta be careful about bashing people. I don't, I don't want to burn bridges, and it's and I also know if you're talking trash about somebody to me, you're going to probably talk trash about me to somebody else. That's just
it. I feel like it's almost a yellow flag, like a warning sign,
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But for sure, red flag.
Okay, what about excessive jealousy?
Oh, man. Ooh, that's not just for singles, though. That's for everybody.
Literally everyone.
But that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Now, when we say singles, because I got a story. Well, I don't know if I should tell a story.
Okay, now you have to tell it.
Why do I do this? There's no edits in this stinking podcast. All right, I guess I'm saying, when you say single, are you talking about single as you're not dating nobody? Because technically, if you're not married, you're single. You know what I'm saying? From a technical standpoint.
Yes.
So are we talking about just yes?
Yes.
Just yes. Okay.
Just yes.
So boyfriend, girlfriend, kind of obsessiveness thing.
Yes.
I had a girlfriend one time who, I was hanging out with one of my closest friends, and it was for a day or two. He was coming to hang with me for the weekend, and I can't believe I'm going to share this. And so she's like, I don't understand why you would want to hang out with another dude all weekend. Are you gay or something?
Oh man, the jealousy.
What are we talking? That's my boy. That's my best friend. What are you even talking about right now?
And I feel like that's a little bit of controlling behavior too.
That's what that is. Yeah. That's the control thing. Control freak, obsessive, and then you got the ones that are won't stop blowing you up, calling you. You look down, it's 47 text messages, and they track your phone, and it's yo, red flag,
right?
Big time.
Or you can't go hang out with your friends tonight, or no, you're gonna stay. Every moment has to be with me, and I just feel
okay. Here's a red flag from me when the only person you can hang out with is each other.
Yeah,
that's a red flag. That's not, we're getting into dating. I'm sorry. Singleness. Okay, how about this one? I got one.
Okay.
When you can't be single for longer than a month. That's a red flag.
Yep.
Because it's this constant I need someone to complete me.
Yeah.
I need someone to hang out with. I feel alone. I can't be alone. And then it's the same kind of thing goes where it's and I don't understand why I keep getting with jerks. It's girl, breathe for a little bit. Like, you ain't got to have somebody all the time.
Right. And I'm just saying, like, you need someone to complete you. Sister, go to church. Somebody else is there to complete you, okay?
Hey.
Let's talk about, what about trying to find somebody in a bar? Going to look for your man's or your woman.
We getting into some preaching content
out
now.
on Broadway.
All right, here's what that's definitely a red flag. Because listen, you don't find the right person in the wrong environment.
Right.
I should say that with a warning. You can.
Right.
Most likely, your soulmate is not at Broadway at 2 a.m.
Right.
And if they are, let's meet them not at 2 a.m.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
maybe you're having lunch with a friend out on Broadway.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just be careful about where you're looking.
Right.
Because you look in the wrong spot, you find the wrong spouse.
Well, and I feel like that too, especially, if you're under the influence, right? And you're out at the bar, you're going to, let's just say, maybe lower your standards a little bit. And then you're going to.
Well, that goes back to you can never be single, you get desperate. And when desperate people do desperate things,
right.
And it's like, I will settle for something that's not my standard because I need someone right now. It's like, yo, wait a second. Red flag. I just thought of another one too. Keep talking. I keep talking. I can't think of it.
Let's see another one. If you're, we just said this one, controlling behavior. Yeah. That's a huge red flag.
For sure.
But this one's interesting to me because I feel like this could be one that goes either way.
All right.
Not being able to open up to someone.
Okay.
Because I feel like it is a red flag in some cases where you're like, communication obviously in a relationship is super important, but maybe you have some trauma you need to work through, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm interested to see rarely opening up to someone.
Yeah. Someone's the key.
Yeah.
If we're talking how about this? I think that is a red flag in this scenario. You said someone, you didn't say boyfriend or girlfriend.
Right.
Because sometimes they're not always the best person to open up to.
Yeah.
But you do need someone to open up to. And if there's no one to open up to, no one to process with, no one to talk through, to call on, that is a red flag because there's a difference in being single and being alone, right? Like you're not called to be alone. You might be called to be single. Yeah. But being alone is two different things, right? So I think going back to the very beginning, I'm gonna go a little pastor here for a second. God looks at Adam, the first not good, Genesis 2:18. It's not good that you're alone. He didn't say it wasn't good that you're single. He said it's not good that you're alone. Yeah. There is a difference. Yep. And we were created for relationship. And if Adam, who at the time had not committed any sin, who was sinless, if Adam needed somebody, how much more do we need somebody? Yes. And amen. So you need somebody. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know who that person is, but you do need someone. You don't need everyone, but you do need someone. So I'll say that for sure. It's a middle flag right there. Yeah, yeah.
What about, I know you're going to feel some type of way about this, lying. Someone who is a frequent liar.
We all know this is a red flag, right?
It's a huge red flag.
But some people justify it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's almost the lowering your standards kind of thing. Yeah. Where you're like, oh, well, they love me. They didn't mean it. Or right. Whatever, whatever.
They are speaking the language of the devil. Yeah.
Literally. You talked about this in a couple messages ago.
John 8, it says that he is the father of lies, and that is his native language. So when you lie, you're speaking the language of the enemy to your soul. Yeah. Which is like, that changes the game for me. Cause I remember when those words came out of your mouth and I was just like, it's a white lie here and there. But now I'm like, I don't even remember what it was, but I was like about to say something and I was just like, because too, that's also a deception. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he's a deceiver. And so anyway, I think that we can justify deception. I didn't tell him the whole truth. And it's like, yeah, but you're patterning your reasoning and life and words after the master manipulator. I don't want to do that. That makes me shake to my core. I'm hearing that lies are his language. I'm like, ugh, I don't want to lie ever again. That's right. Good. All right. So red flags in singles when you're out there looking for someone. Yeah. Constant put downs. What are you eating out for? Come on now. Too many calories. You can't be doing that to people. That's Girl, you got a list of them. Let's go.
I got a whole list of them, like, red
you wrote
flag,
those
red
quick
flag.
too. Like you might have a little experience with some singleness red flags. I know I do.
Yeah.
Because I've been in that situation where man, I used to be really insecure because someone told me like I have really like hairy arms and they're like, oh, it looks disgusting. So for a long time.
Somebody said that to you?
Yeah. So for a long time, like I shave my arm, shave my head, shave my face, shave my legs, shave everything.
Yeah.
Look like a freaking fool. You know what I'm saying? Thank God my wife's like, I like your hairy arms. I'm like, let's go. Yeah. Anyway. I think people's words, man, if people are using their words to beat you down and not build you up, man, red flag.
It's so true though, because it's funny because I had an ex in college who told me that I had like, you have like big arms like a guy. And I was just like,
oh, no.
ever since
subconscious about your arms.
Subconscious about my arms all the time. I'm like, I don't want to wear tank tops. I always want to wear long sleeves. And it's just like, I'll go back to that moment. I'm like, no, little jerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's such a big red flag.
It is. Anybody,
shout out to that guy.
Yeah. Let me get into some deep ones. Can I do it?
Yes, please. I was like, mine are very surface level. I was waiting for PK to open this up.
Yeah. So let me just like say this. These are from like personal experience failure. Please don't ever hear anything I'm saying like condemnation, nothing like that. I just think that marital problems, relationship problems are the result of singleness problems that never got solved.
Yeah.
So like if you are single and looking for the mingle, then I got a couple things I'll share with you.
All right.
If you're single and insecure, I'm going to say a couple things to that as well. Let me speak to both initially. Singleness is not a sickness.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I think we live in a culture that celebrates marriage as if marriage is the goal. And one of the red flags for me is when you think that marriage fixes all your problems.
Boy, does it amplify it.
It does. It'll magnify them.
Yep.
And so marriage isn't the goal. Maturity is the goal. And I think that until you understand and learn that you're a whole person without somebody else, you're going to bring in all kinds of unrealistic expectations into a relationship if you're looking to mingle.
Yeah.
And here's what happens from even a deeper level. We always talk about verbal abuse and physical abuse and all that, emotional abuse. It brings a different type of abuse that I would call, I don't even know if somebody said this before. Maybe I'll be the first. I think it leads to spiritual abuse.
Yeah.
Because when you expect somebody else to complete you, you are putting a godlike expectation on them that they could never live up to.
Yeah.
And it's like, I need you to be what you'll never say it like this. But when you don't learn how to be content with who God made you to be, and you're not at peace with you, this is why I say like, if you can never be single, it's a red flag because there's something in you that's searching for significance, and that significance can only be found in Jesus.
Yep.
And so if you're expecting another person to give you something that only God can give you, that's spiritual abuse.
100%.
That's like going, I need you to be God for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, that's a different level of like, so for me, it's like even in scripture with the idea of marriage, it's like he says the two become one, not the halves become whole. So it's like it's two whole people, and it's this picture of becoming one and then being a new creation. Right. So like I think that's important to just kind of understand. And some of that is like, don't put godlike expectations on broken people because they'll fail you and you'll stay frustrated.
Well, and I love that.
And they'll stay beat down.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that because that's pretty much my story is I was always in a relationship. And my mom used to call me out all the time. Shout out to Patty. She would always be like,
I was the guy that always had to have a girlfriend.
Why are you always in a relationship? Like, it's okay to be single. You don't need a man, blah, blah, blah. You're young, that kind of thing. And there was a moment in my life where I finally said, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. Like, this is just all wrong.
Right.
And I dove headfirst into church. I was serving. I was there 4 or 5 times a week, doing everything I could to say, like, you know what? I'm going to find myself before I can find someone else.
Right.
And I kid you not, later that year, I met my husband. We didn't know.
Weren't even looking for
each other, but we met each other and we're friends for like 3 or 4 months. And then we both like randomly were at dinner with like a bunch of our friends. Like we were all just like this big group of friends. And he like hugged me and I was just like,
oh, what just happened?
What are you cute? Like what? It was like one of those things. I was like, no, we weren't attracted. Like we weren't attracted to each other.
Yeah,
like,
you can say what that is. I call that. It's gonna be real cringe. That's the real love triangle.
Right.
That is the you're here, they're here, and God's up here.
Yep.
And you're like, I'm gonna go after Jesus, and that person's like, I'm going after Jesus. What happens? You meet at the top, and you're like, oh, yo, what's up?
What's up? Literally.
We kind of at the same spot in life.
Yep.
And how'd that work? It's like, yeah, that's
and then
how it
everybody
worked.
around us was like, what?
Yeah.
You guys,
Yeah.
what? And we were like, I don't know.
I don't
Like,
know. It just kind of happened. Yeah.
God is real. That's what Andrew
right.
used to say at the
That's
beginning of our
right. Yeah,
relationship. But
that's
it's so
true.
true when you look for affirmation and you look for completion in other people, you're just never going to find it with them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we get back to kind of the joke you made. I think it's so true though about when you're talking about like looking for people and looking for the right one, like this constant pursuit of I got to find the one. So let me speak to that one. Like, and I've said it, you've probably heard pastors say it before, man, what we're trying to get you to say is like, you got to focus on becoming the one.
Yeah.
Like become the person that you're looking for, right? So it's like, yo, if you want a godly man or a godly woman who's not going to cheat and who's going to be honest and respect you and have a great job and have purpose and all that, do you? Because that type of person, they're looking for somebody else that thinks that same way.
Yep.
So it's like maybe the reason some of us don't ever find that person is because we're not that person yet.
Yeah.
So like let's develop some of that inside of us and okay, I'm going to pursue those things. And then as I do that, I'll look around and be like, all right, who's up here with me? You know what I'm saying? Who's on this race with me? So that would be one of those things I think that's important.
Totally.
And let me speak to the single and insecure people or the single and struggling people who are like, I feel like I'm less than because I'm not single and something's wrong with me. Scripture actually says that, that's not a sickness. That's actually a gift.
Yeah.
Right. And to understand that like, being single is not like something's wrong with you. And in our society, it's like it is. Like you're less than, you're not as important. Why aren't you married? What are you doing? And like, man, there are people who have the gift of going, I'll be honest with you. It's not what I want with my life.
Yeah.
Now, that can get really toxic and people can say that for different reasons. However, there are people, you look in Scripture, I mean, like Jesus didn't physically have a girl, okay? Like the church is his bride, I get it. But like, he didn't have a wife. He didn't get married, and that's who we're following.
Yeah.
Paul, who wrote over half the New Testament, he was single. He's like, I wish you were like I was. And the reason why is because I can do more for the kingdom. Right. So what I would tell you is like, if you're single and you're secure, how you invest in your life. Yeah. What are you doing with your life? Because, man, you have so much opportunity to use your gifts and passions to make a positive impact. And then if you're single and, like, you're looking to mingle or, like, you're like, I don't know where I'm at right now, use this season to grow. Yeah. And use this season to develop. Like, and I'm telling you, like, if you'll start to focus in on that and go, I'm just going to submerge myself in what God has for me. Yep. If you're supposed to have someone, you'll find them. Like, it's going to be there. Like, they'll be there. Now, here's how you know you're not called to singleness. Scripture says, hey, you got that like fiery burn inside of you. Yeah. You got a desire like, hey, I gotta have sex with somebody. Yep. I gotta get in bed with somebody. You ain't called to be single. Nope. you need to find somebody. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Now, don't be just finding anybody. Yeah. And I think like here's a red flag for me a red flag for me when I was in college and had a season of singleness is like girls, and this now, just say it. Just like girls that have to use their body to get your attention.
100%.
That might be hookup material, but that's not wifey material. Right. Right.
Agreed.
And what I mean by that is like, I think that attraction is like the first natural thing that happens. Right. But there's got to be more than that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that someone feels like they need to show, and God's the same way. Yeah. Like, he got a profile picture with his shirt off showing a six pack. Don't do that. Number one, he ain't got a life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like, and that's an insecure place because it's like, I don't have a lot going for me, so I got to show off what I do. Yeah. Like that, there's all kinds of reasons for it. And I'm not shaming nobody saying that. I'm just telling you, I've said it before in a sermon, I'm going to say it again. If you use your body as bait, don't be surprised when you catch sharks.
Ooh, that is a word for somebody listening.
Don't be surprised, like, because that's what you're trying to catch. It's like, I'm using, like, come get me. And then it's like, why do I keep attracting terrible people? It's like, look what you're fishing with.
Well, and it's funny that you say that because there's like this big joke of like, you post a thirst trap. Like people post those thirst traps. And if you don't know what that means, basically it's just like one of those pictures where you're like showing off or doing whatever, showing your body. A little bit. And I'm always like, and sometimes it'll be some friends. And I'm like, what was the purpose of this? Yeah. Why did you need to post it like that? You know what I mean? It's just like, there's a way to like post a picture of yourself that you like. Mm-hmm. And then there's the thirst traps. And I'm like you said, this is not attracting the people.
So what it does is it gives like this, like, again, that's low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
For either man or woman. Like that's so easy in the sense of like, I don't want to say you're shallow, but that's a shallow way to fish. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
totally.
Come on now, like it's like fishing out of a pay pond with a lure and it's this big. You're going to catch something, It's like, but do you really want to catch just the first thing? It's like, oh yeah, I gotcha. It's like, hold on. Like if you're wanting something deeper and you're wanting something significant, man, you're gonna have to like, it's got to become more than just your body. That don't be surprised then when your body starts to change and the person you attracted and the only reason they were attracted to you was because of your body has a problem with when things start to change.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's what you set them up for.
Yep.
Here's a red flag: when you think you can change people.
Ooh, come with it, sir.
Or when,
that's good. That's really good.
Or when, I don't really like this about them, but I think when we get married, that'll change.
No, it won't.
No.
It's
like if he ain't got a job, look, if he ain't got a job, he's at home with mama, he's playing PlayStation or Xbox all night long and he doesn't want to go to church, he's not going to become the spiritual leader that you need him to be, the man of God, the one working hard. It's not going to happen.
No.
Like you don't marry for potential, okay? Right. Like it's just like you can't change people. So like, do you love them the way they are right now?
Yep.
You like them the way they are right now? Would you marry them right now if they never changed? If that answer is no,
don't
make that decision for sure. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, hey, now there's like, you got to love them for their flaws. If you're dating somebody or whatever, you're looking for somebody, it's like, could you marry the worst part of them?
Yeah. And I think that's so important to talk about because I feel like you said it earlier in the podcast where you're like marriage, people feel like marriage will change everything. Oh, we'll be better when we're married. And it really is. It's like the second you're married, like you can't just walk away from it.
Right.
When you have
you can, but you're not supposed to. And you shouldn't.
Exactly. But it's just like, I'm doing this one time. That's,
That's right.
Amen. It's not up for discussion, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the one time thing. This is my forever.
Right.
And it's just like, if I counted on one hand how many fights I'd be like, I hate you so much right now, but I love you so much. It's just like, you can't just walk away from it and you have to figure out how to fight. You have to figure out how to get through it. And you have to figure out, how can we do this better? How can we communicate on this better? Yeah. You have to work it out. And I think it's so sad in today's culture. There was this huge breakup that happened within a certain industry that I work in. And someone said, well, the honeymoon phase wore off and we just fell out of touch. I'm like, welcome to marriage. Yeah. Sorry. Welcome to marriage. The honeymoon phase will wear off and you're still going to have to figure out how to choose to love. How to get through those moments. And I'm like, I hate when culture says stuff like that, where it's like, oh, well, it wasn't fire and rainbows anymore. And I'm like, marriage is not butterflies and rainbows all the time, guys. It's like, imagine fighting with your boyfriend or girlfriend or with your family member or whatever. You can walk away from those conversations for months if you need a break.
Right.
You can't walk away from your spouse.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
So good. It is so good. I think my wifey and I are going to hit on a little bit of that, what you just spoke to. Yes. The butterflies fly away.
They really do.
Yeah. And you build a relationship looking for a feeling. Like if you can fall out of love, you can fall in love, you can fall out of love.
Yeah.
As quick as you fell in love, you can fall out of it just as fast. Right. Right. And so I think I think you said something earlier too about lowering standards. Mm-hmm. I think that's so key because that's one of the things that breaks my heart for both guys and girls. I've had this conversation on both spectrums where they just get tired of being alone. Yeah. And they settle for a good guy or a good girl. Yeah. And it's like, it breaks my heart because it's like, what I've seen a lot is that sometimes we avoid trauma and we think that if I can avoid trauma and I don't have to and I don't have to deal with that again, that trauma will just kind of go away. Yeah. And so it's like I was in this type of relationship. So this is when you see people flip and go to the complete opposite person. Yeah. Because they're avoiding and people are like, yo, why are you with him? Why are you with her? And it's like the real reason is because they remind you of nothing of your ex. Yeah. And you think that trauma that happened with your ex won't find its way into your relationship. Oh, it will. It will. You got baggage and it's going to come out at some point. Yeah. And so like, I think that's so important to understand of like, hey, don't just settle, like have standards. Now they're not going to be perfect standards. Right. You got to figure out what your non-negotiables are. And like, hey, for me, this is it. You know what I'm saying? But be careful with making your list because you want to make sure that you make your own list. Yeah. If you followed me. Yeah. I think a lot of people look at the ingredients for a cake and they say, this is what it's going to take to get the cake. Yeah.
And
you following me?
Yep.
This is what it's going to take to get the cake. But they don't even know how to cook it themselves.
Totally.
That they don't even know, like, oh, this is what I want. It's like, but that's not even you.
Yeah.
This thing requires sugar. You ain't got no sugar. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
you ain't sweet. You want a sweet girl? You're not sweet, bro. You know, like, so I think that's one of those things where it's like, hey, be careful making lists that you don't even make.
Well, and I love that you say that, because I feel like when I remember being single and they'd be like, pray specifically for what you want in a husband, you know, which I think you can.
Great.
But I remember having this like list and I was just like, okay, maybe I should just, what are my top 3? What do I want? And like having Christ be the center of their life, and like a spiritual leader was one of them. And my husband is that.
Yeah.
And I think that over everything, whether it be, you know what I mean? Over anything else on my list, like he has the one thing that is the most important thing that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, God will honor your list, right?
Sure.
But also don't have
Ain't
a
nobody perfect.
35 list.
And if you do have a 35 list, you don't even make your own list. Chill out.
Right.
But I think that you said something key there that people miss. You said a spiritual leader.
Yeah.
There is a difference in somebody saying they're a Christian and being a spiritual leader.
Yeah.
Like, yo, it's not just like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, I go to church. Cool. Well, so does like 90% of the South.
Right.
That don't make nobody a spiritual leader.
Right.
Like just showing up made you a leader. Like who you leading?
Yeah.
You a spiritual leader? Cool. Who you leading?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, you
Right.
serving? No, I don't serve. You give? No, I don't give. You mentor anybody? No, I don't mentor nobody.
I just come to church.
I just go to church every night in. And then you find out, oh, like they come like once every 8 weeks when it's convenient for them. It's like, and then your expectation is, oh, but when we get married, it change.
Yeah.
Or, hey, go red flag. You think a kid will fix it? I'm sorry I clapped. I know it's loud. Sorry if I hurt your ears. Thinking a kid will fix it. I mean, come on now. You like, no.
That's going to amplify all the other problems
gosh.
that were amplified when you got married.
Bro, I had, I can't even go here. Like I remember talking to a girl. This is a red flag. I remember talking to a girl that wanted to get me pregnant. Pause. She wanted me to get her pregnant. And if I wouldn't, she would not date me. What?
Ma'am.
What is happening in the world? This was a long time ago, obviously.
Right.
But it was like, again, in the same way people think a spouse will complete them. A lot of people are like, you know what? I just want a kid so bad. I don't care who it's with. I'll do the thing with anybody just so I can get my kid. And it's like, yo, that's not a reason to have a child. Do it the right way. Right. Like that is going to call, like, because then it's like, this is so tough. It's like, I get wanting to have a kid, but it now became about you. And having a kid isn't about you. It's about them.
I was just going to say, it's going to affect their life in the long run more because I've
seen that happen.
Home.
I've had, them anchor baby kind of ideas. It's like, oh, when we get married, they'll be stuck now. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, red flag.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Or like, hey, I know what'll make him or her grow up if we have a child. Yeah. No, it's not. Nope. It's not going to do that. It's going to make it even worse. Yep. If he don't know how to be there for you without a child, he definitely ain't going to know how to be there for you with one.
That's just it. And I mean, I have personal...
And vice versa. Yeah. Like, please, I'm not just trying to talk to the ladies by any means, but...
And I have personal experience with friendships that have said, oh, we'll just have another baby and like, he'll come back. He'll be a better dad then. And, a couple kids more later and he's gone still, and it's just like you said kind of earlier, the whole like, will it wanting to change somebody? Yeah. A kid is not going to change somebody if they're already showing those signs and they're already being that kind of human. Yeah. I don't want to be with anybody that just wants to have a kid just because they want a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
I want them to want to have a family with me.
That being said, here's another red flag. If you can't have a conversation about like where you want to go in life. Like, Jessica and I watch this TV show. Well, Jessica watches it. I pretend not to like it. Then I kind of like it. So
that's how it usually goes.
I don't even remember what it's called. I don't even know what it's called. But it was like something along the lines of like they all these people dating. You know how those shows go. I don't know what it's called. I don't think it's the Love is Blind one. That's the one that they're like behind the wall and they don't know each other. Okay, well, it's not that one. It is not The Bachelor. But essentially it was like, oh, I know what it was. I think it was the one like you married people at first, married at first sight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like 90 Day Fiance. Those are like something in that world, right? Where you got to like make
TV,
it's like where you, it is trash TV, but
it's good though.
Anyway, yeah,
it's so good.
It's good. That's a red flag probably, but it's fine. But it's like, man, people aren't having conversations, and it's like they get married or they get engaged, and it's like, hey, you want to have kids? And they're like, no. Well, I do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. It's like, yo, you should have those conversations before.
Yep.
Like if you can have a conversation about like, hey, how much debt you have?
Yep. Those
and they're like,
hard
I don't want to talk about that. Pause. What?
Yep.
That's a red flag because they probably got a lot of it.
Yep.
Now they may be like, they may make you think like, oh, you just after my money, you're a gold digger, whatever. It's like, no. Like there's a reason you're not wanting to share it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think there's that side of it. You said something earlier that sparked an idea too of just not being able to have those vulnerable, real conversations with the person that you're wanting to date or trying to date.
Yep.
I feel like we're getting too much into dating though, but I know that like most people are single looking to mingle. So I'm just trying to help you.
Totally. We're just trying to help a little bit.
You should be able to have real conversations, and it has to be more than just you get together and like make out, or you get together with just some friends and have fun together.
Yeah.
You should be able to have like real hard and like tough conversations around tough things. And red flag for me is like, yo, if y'all never have any disagreements or arguments, that's a problem because somebody is not telling the truth.
Right.
Somebody's just saying what you want to hear because you're not the same person. And if you are, then you shouldn't be with them because that means one of you ain't needed.
Right. That's so
You
true.
don't need them at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you need somebody if they're just like you?
Yep.
If you agree on everything, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like you need somebody to challenge you. You need somebody to make you better. That's the point of partnership, you know?
I remember that just like sparked this thing. Andrew and I, my husband, we were just talking about this the other day, and he was like, we were talking about like when he decided, he was like, the day I knew I was going to marry you is we got in an argument. We were at your apartment. We got in an argument and I left. You told me to leave. It was very like,
big.
Get out of my sight.
We had one of those.
Yeah. Okay. And
I stood in front of the car when Jessica tried to leave. I was like, you run me over. I ain't leaving.
Right?
I ain't moving. Yeah, you're mine.
But he was like, I knew I was supposed to, or like I wanted to marry you because I sat outside of your apartment in my car for an hour. He was like, I couldn't leave. I didn't know why. And he was like, and I've never been like that. He's usually like, if somebody takes him off the girl, he's like, see ya.
Yeah.
But he was just like, I sat out there, I called my friend and he told me like, go back in.
Yeah.
And he did. He came back in.
There you go.
And he said sorry. And I said sorry. And it was a whole thing. And that's it. Like in a relationship, I know this is kind of going off on a tangent, but in a relationship, you really do. You have to learn how to fight with each other because fighting is going to happen. It's healthy. You're not always going to agree on things. Like I don't agree with, half the things that I, talk with my friends about. So it's like, if you can't healthily fight with your spouse or with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or somebody that you're going on a date with, like,
or your friends.
Your friends. Yeah, true. Like it's, you gotta learn to fight.
Yeah. Marriage is not finding the person you can live with. It's finding the person you can't live without.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So more singleness red flags, man.
What about like compromise? Like somebody who can't compromise. Cause I feel like that's huge in relationships. Like someone who's just like my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
For sure.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely.
We're waving it to that one.
Yeah. I mean, you have that to have any kind of relationship, you have to be willing to compromise. It's not all about you. If you think it's all about you, red flag, that's why you don't have a relationship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that one's huge. I think that, I think like if you're single and you're secure in who you are, I don't think you have to compromise for anyone. And I don't think that you, I'll go back to like, I don't think you need somebody to complete you. I don't think, and I think we all got to have that place where we are content in ourselves. We know our values. We have a vision for our life. And I think that again, whether you want somebody to do that with in a romantic relationship or not, the point is like, yo, I'm trying to be and become who God called me to be and learn what that means. And yo, like I'm not here, you don't complete me, but I would love for you to compliment me. Mm-hmm. And so find somebody that will compliment you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
good.
I think that's the thing. Like quit looking for somebody to complete you. And man, there's a lot, bro. And I just remember those single seasons in my life where I just, for whatever reason, like you mentioned, like you were somebody that's like, I always had a boyfriend, I always had a girlfriend. I'll tell you red flag. If they say I love you, like super quick. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep,
I'll be honest, this is super embarrassing. I was the guy that like, I didn't know how else to express that I liked somebody.
Like, I love you.
I love you.
Yep.
And it's like, and I remember this girl I dated, she's like, I actually talked to like your last 3 girlfriends and you said that to them too.
And you're like,
And I was like,
called out.
uh-oh. Not saying that no more. But like, if they're like, I love you.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even know me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
You're like,
that's like, oh no. Or like, if they want to meet your parents after the first date, red flag.
Sister.
If they trying to go on vacation with you, like, oh, y'all go to the beach every year? When we going? It's like, whoa, wait a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's a red flag. If the people who know you the best and love you the most, parents, friends, family, tell you that that person's not good for you.
And you don't listen.
That's a red flag. Because it's like, hey, they know you better than anybody and you're not wanting to listen to anybody. You need to pay attention to that because you're blinded by not love, but lust. It's like, you're just infatuated with them and how they act and look and think or whatever. And
gosh, it's so good.
That's a tough one. You know what I'm saying? So, let's see. I'll also say this. It's not a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Quit looking for a fairy tale.
Cinderella and all of those stories begin with like, or end with like crazy tragedy. Like if you watch any of these like fairy tale movies, I'm like, okay, what happened? And you're like, you actually look at the basis of the story and you're like, wait, this is not.
Yeah, some of those like original novels and stuff like that. Romeo and Juliet.
Yes. What?
Bro, they go on a freaking killing spree and then they kill each other. Then they commit suicide.
They commit suicide, yeah.
It's like,
you're like,
whoa, wait a second.
Romeo.
It's so romantic. No, it was not.
It's actually terrifying.
No, it's super dysfunctional. And then like all the Disney ones always end with like the engagement. Like, oh yeah, they fell in love. It's like, but did they stay in love?
Right.
You know, like cool.
where's Prince Charming 10 years from now? Like I want to see like in the future.
Did Aladdin ever get a job or was he still a thief? Do you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
so true though.
It's like, oh, Aladdin is here. It's like, yo, but did Aladdin get a job or was he still robbing people for bread?
Or did he just marry into money and just, turn into a crazy rich man? Like
who knows?
Who knows?
We don't know yet.
Disney, we need answers, okay?
They're not going to give no answers.
They'll leave us hanging.
They ain't going to give us no answers. Let's see. Do you got any more? I'm trying to think of some more red flags.
I feel like I'm curious to know how you feel about dating apps.
Okay.
Like dating apps with singles is so huge right now. I think that's something cool we could touch on. Yeah,
for sure. I think that's okay. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with a dating app as long as you're being who you really are on the dating app. You know what I'm saying? Like if like don't post a picture of it's so scary. Like I feel for you. Yeah. I really do.
I'm so happy it wasn't.
I feel for you. I'm glad that wasn't a real thing when I was like looking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I think if you got to get on like FaceTime or you got to get like a way to like see this person and please don't get catfished and marry somebody that like you've never seen in person and they're asking you for money because they need help. And it's like, no, come on, that's a red flag. If they're asking for money, you don't even know yet, red flag.
I was like, I'm not going to share all of the story on camera, but I'll tell you a fun little catfish story that happened to me when I was in college.
Oh no. Okay. So I think that like I don't think there's anything wrong with dating apps. I mean, I do think that it's really challenging when we talk about finding the right one in the wrong atmosphere. There's not a lot of good atmospheres anymore.
Right.
And I'm not going to be like, oh, you can only find people in church. I think church is a good spot.
Yeah.
I do.
Yep.
I think that you can find places like serving and doing good in the world. Find somebody that's got the same values as you. I think you can find people at work. Like I think all of those are fine spots. I don't think there's anything wrong with dating apps. I think that you can start there, but eventually it's got to move beyond just like texting.
Yeah.
And Instagram messaging, DMs, phone calls. Like if they never want to meet in person, red flag. Like that's like there's reluctancy there. They're hiding something. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now I would also say, don't be naive to think everything you're seeing is real.
No.
Everybody's putting their best picture of themselves, the one they feel the most confident with, if it's actually them.
Not only that, but Photoshop, all that 100%. Stuff is real.
Yeah, like so put your real body weight, your real height, your real hair color. You know what I'm saying? Like
a current picture of you, not one from you in high school.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like be real then if you're going to be real. And here's the thing, if you're not, then I just don't understand. What do you expect to attract? Let's just say you decide, I'm going to put the best me out there. Of course, put the best you out there. Yeah. That's fine. But just understand someone is now becoming attracted to the best you.
Right.
They're falling in love with the perfect you, the one you're portraying. So make sure you're portraying who you really are. If not, you're going to have to live up to an image that you created, and someone's going to fall in love with what they think is your reality, but really that's your fantasy.
That's good.
So, I'm always this way. No, you're not. Now, I'm not saying put all your junk online and just be like, I suck as a human being sometimes. We all already know that.
Right.
But like, I think as quickly as you can become authentic with someone, the better. And just being like, hey, yo, you think I'm cute? Okay, great. I don't always look like that, by the way.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean? Like,
you're going to have to take the makeup off someday.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a six-pack like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's wintertime and it turned to a case. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I remember
it don't look
when
the same
I lived
no more.
out in LA, I went on this date with a guy and I had like clip-in extensions. I had like fake eyelashes on or whatever. And like, there was one time like he saw me without the clip-in extensions and the eyelashes, and he was like,
where'd your hair go?
Yeah, what happened? Did you get a haircut? And I'm like, no. And he was just like, you're too fake for me. And then just like ghosted me. And I was just like, fair enough. Okay.
Wow.
And I was putting my best version forward.
Yeah. And again, I think it's great. Like, again, attraction is like where things start. Sure. I don't have a problem with that. But I think you got to figure out in a dating app, how do you communicate what you value that goes beyond attraction? And you got to be able to find someone and look for someone, not just like, oh my God, they're so hot.
Yeah.
It's like, listen.
How's their heart?
I work out.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I work out and all that stuff. I'm going to say it like this. Yo, if they're over 30 and they got pictures of them with their shirt off, it's a red flag. But if they're over 30 and they got like an 8-pack, 10-pack, and they got veins in their abs, they ain't got a life.
No.
I'm just being
gym.
honest.
Yeah.
Like, they might be a bodybuilder, but most bodybuilders are miserable because it's all they do.
Yep.
And it's a lot of like it's very
it's a
much
selfish thing. Yep.
100%. I'm not saying you can't be fit and work, but like if they look like a freaking model, unless that's their job is a model,
right.
Like something's a little bit like they're spending a little bit too much time. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm all about being fit, looking good and all that. That's cool.
But I also love Taco Bell. So you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Chick-fil-A's Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just... You gotta be able to eat some fried food every now and then. You know, like because you're gonna be miserable if not. You're gonna be on a date and it's like, hey, what can you order?
Rice.
Let me get some broccoli and grilled chicken. It's like that's all you eat. You know what I'm saying? Like you wanna. No, it's not in my diet. You diet every day. Like come on now. You know what I mean? Like
okay, it's not
I'm not against.
It's a red flag for me. Okay,
I'm not against like I'm not against healthy lifestyles and all that. But like when it's not 75 day hard, or what is it called? 75 hard? It's like hard. 750 hard. You know what I'm saying? It's like years on years on years. It's like, okay, that's great. You need to make sure you can sustain that pace too.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
because they've built their life. And again, if that's what somebody wants, they've built their lifestyle that way. You just need to know what you're stepping into. So I think like, you want to get on a dating app? Great. It don't have to be, Christian Mingle or, it don't have to be that.
Farmers only.
Farmers
that's
only.
what you're going to say.
It don't have to be that, I'm not against it. That's fine. I just think, be careful.
Right.
Because there's some crazy people out there. I can't wait to hear your catfish story.
Okay, we're not going to talk about it right now, but I'll tell you later. But yeah, red flags and singleness. I feel like if you have a question or a red flag you'd love to put in the comments, we'd love to maybe answer these after we post the podcast. So
that's right.
Happy red flag waving.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen.